is cell growth that is out of control. The many different types of cancers share one hallmark characteristic: unchecked growth and expansion without limits. Most people have loved ones or friends that are cancer survivors. We all have questions about cancer, its detection, diagnosis, possible causes, and strategies for prevention. Cancer originates almost anywhere in the body. Carcinomas, the most common type of cancer, arise from the cells that cover external and internal body surfaces. Lung, breast, and colon are the most frequent cancers of this type in the United States. Sarcomas are cancers arising from cells found in the supporting tissues of the body, such as bone, cartilage, fat, connective tissue, and muscle. Lymphomas arise in the lymph nodes and tissues of the body's immune system. Leukemias are cancers of the blood, immature blood cells that grow in the bone marrow and invade the bloodstream. In general, names for various types of cancer are created by using different Latin prefixes that stand for the location where the cancer began to grow. As an example, the prefix osteo means bone, so a cancer arising in bone is called an osteosarcoma. The prefix adeno means gland, so a cancer of gland cells is called adenocarcinoma. As an example, a breast adenocarcinoma. Cancer arises from a loss of normal growth control. In normal tissues, the rate of new cell growth and old cell death are kept in balance. In cancer, this balance is disrupted. This disruption can result from uncontrolled cell growth or loss of a cell's ability to undergo apoptosis, cell suicide. Apoptosis is a normal mechanism by which old or damaged cells self-destruct. To illustrate what is meant by normal growth, consider the skin. The thin outermost layer of normal skin, called the epidermis, is roughly a dozen cells thick. Cells in the bottom row of this layer, called the basal cell or basal layer, divide just fast enough to replenish cells that are continually being washed off or shed from the surface of the skin. Each time one of these basal cells divides, it produces two cells. One remains in the basal layer and retains the capacity to divide. The other migrates out of the basal layer and loses the capacity to divide. The number of dividing cells in the basal layer, therefore, stays the same. During the development of skin cancer, the normal balance between cell division and cell loss is disrupted. The basal cells now divide faster than is needed to replace the skin cells that are being shed. Each time one of these basal cells divides, two newly formed cells may often retain the capacity to divide, thereby leading to an increase in the total number of dividing cells. The gradual increase in the number of dividing cells creates a growing mass of tissue called a tumor or neoplasm, new growth. If the rate of cell division is relatively rapid and no cell suicide or apoptosis signals are in place, the tumor will grow quickly in size. If the cells divide more slowly, tumor growth will be slower. But regardless of the growth rate, tumors ultimately increase in size because new cells are being produced in greater numbers than needed. As more and more cells of these dividing cells accumulate, the normal organization of the tissue gradually becomes disrupted. Cancers are capable of spreading throughout the body by two mechanisms: invasion and metastases. Invasion refers to the direct migration and penetration by cancer cells into the neighboring tissues. Metastases refers to the ability of cancer cells to penetrate into lymphatic and blood vessels, circulate through the bloodstream, and then invade normal tissues elsewhere in the body. Depending on whether or not they can spread, tumors are classified as being either benign or malignant. Benign tumors are tumors that cannot spread by invasion or metastases. They only grow locally. Malignant tumors are tumors that are capable of spreading by invasion and metastases. By definition, the term cancer applies only to malignant tumors.